One of them said, man, what are you doing? I said, I had to give it up. He said, well, we thought you was already saved. I said, well, probably a lot of people did, but, I can fool a lot of people, but you can't fool God. Can't fool God. So anyway, be praying for me this morning. I'm going to be speaking out of James 1:19. This is my favorite verse in the Bible, and after you read it, you'll see that it really belongs to me, because it's something that's hard. But anyway, we're going to read 19 through 26. It says, "Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. For the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God. Wherefore lay apart all filthiness, superfluity of naughtiness, and receive with meekness the engrafted word, which is able to save your souls. But be ye doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. For if any be a hearer of the word, and not a doer, he is like unto a man beholding his natural face in a glass. For he beholdeth himself, and goeth his way, and straightway forgetteth what manner of man he was. But whoso looketh into the perfect law of liberty, and continue therein, he being not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this man shall be blessed in his deed. If any man among you seem to be religious, and bridle not his tongue, but deceiveth his own heart, this man's religion is vain." James wrote this for encouragement in their faith during difficult times. And this morning, if I had to title this lesson, it'd be Listening and Doing. Going back to verse 19. "Wherefore, my beloved brethren," that's all of us, says, "let every man be swift to hear." A lot of times we hear things. You'll hear Brother Eddie, "Are you listening? Are you listening?" And I've gotten to where God really works on me on that, where I'm looking at the words and reading the words, listening to the words, instead of just paying attention to the man speaking or the man singing. If you'll slow down and listen. There's so much in those words. If you'll just pay attention to them. I'll give you a little story. You'll like it. I didn't like it at the time, but we was on my porch. I was about 7, 8 years old, and we had a neighbor up the road. His name was Mr. Homer Bennett, and me and my daddy and I think my brother was standing on the porch, and Daddy always wanted me to listen, pay attention. But I was standing there, and Daddy was right on this side. I was in the middle, and I said, "Here comes old Homer." And boy, automatically he done that right there. And Daddy said, and I've shared this with my younger people in my classes, but Daddy said, "Boy, you put a handle on it. Put a handle on it." That handle was Mister. And so from then on, I learned a very valuable lesson. You need to listen, because Daddy will pop you in the mouth. So many times we need to be swift to hear. Swift, that's quick. A lot of times we'll run through something and not hear it. Kyron tells me all the time, You're just going in one ear and out the other. You ain't listening to me. And we have that sort of thing sometimes, But God has really worked on me probably the last 10 years about listening to him. I want to hear what he's telling me. So many times he'll tell us stuff and we miss it. Because if he's telling us something, he's wanting us to do something. And then, we miss it and we done miss that blessing. Because God's going to bless you if you listen to him. And he's going to chastise you if you don't. I can guarantee you that. I love softball. Y'all know that. And I got some of my players here with me this morning. And, it's a big thing for me. Softball used to be my God. I can tell anybody. I played softball 7 nights a week. But I have players on my team now, and they listen to me. And, being an older guy than them guys, they listen to me like I used to listen to my coach and stuff. But so many times, God to open a door, man, and he's speaking to us, and I don't know, we want to do it our way. We want to do it our way. We want to say what we want to say, and we just don't listen. If anything I can tell you this morning is pay attention. Pay attention when Brother Eddie's up here and speaking and he's telling you something, and so many times we want to get off on and be paying attention to something else that's going on in the room. I'm going to share something else with you, and he's here this morning, and he probably don't remember this, but Kevin, he was about 5 years old, 6 years old. We was in church one morning, and I was going to be the big bad daddy. Preacher was preaching, and he was on his knees, and he was doing something with a book, and he wasn't paying attention. I didn't think he was hearing. He wasn't listening. So we started home, and I said, I'm going to get him now. I'm going to get him. And I said, son, what's the preacher talking about? Because he was just down on his knees, scribbling or doing whatever. Boy, he started telling me. And I said, yeah. So I asked him something else, and come to find out, he was listening more than I was. So I had to shut up, Eddie. I had to shut up quick because he was going to start asking me questions that I couldn't answer. So a lot of times, you look at these little fellas and you think, well, man, they ain't listening. Watch what you ask them, because they may put you in your place. But pay attention. Be swift to hear. Listen to what God's telling you. If he tells you something, follow through on it. So many times, God has spoke to me and go tell me to witness to somebody, and being me, I think, God, I can't do it. I don't know what to say, but then we missed that blessing. So just be sure we listen. Listen to what God is telling us. Second thing is slow to speak. Boy, that tongue, boy. We'll get in there, and we want to start talking before we start listening. And I used to be bad about that, but it seemed like God has slowed me down. Other day at work, something went on, and used to, I'd have told them right quick, Leon, what they could have done. And I just throwed up my hands, and said, God, help me, because I was being slow to speak. Because if I'd have done it Danny's way, you can lose your witness right there real quick. And it was over inventory, and the lady that was over it, she said, say something. I said, no. No, you don't want me to say nothing right now. I said, I just throwed up my hands and sort of just said, no, it's got to be done. It's got to be done. But you know, I could have spouted off right there, and you know, because I've been witnessing to people at work, and they said, yeah, there he is. But God told me, be slow to speak, Danny. Slow to speak. Watch what you say. You can tear down a wall real quick that you've been working on a long time. You know, you can tear it down by one word. And a lot of people are waiting on you to say that one word, to tear it down. And you done worked so hard and so many years, you know, witness that person, you get him close, and at one word. And yeah, I knew it. So you got to really be slow to speak, because you know that tongue, man, it goes to slapping. I'll tell you something else that I've said for a long time. I told my boys, I'm telling my grandboys now, I told my young class, there's two things that you can do that you just can't take back. Once you say it, if I go up there and you know, I just cuss you out or just say anything, I can't take it back. You know? And I reckon that's the reason this verse means so much to me, is because I've learned that if I tell you something, I can't take it back. You know, and if you can't take it back, you know, you can go back and you can say, Johnny Wayne, I'm sorry. And most people will forgive you. They won't forget it, you know. But you done said it. You done said it then. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? You can't take it back. And for years and years, it might, you know, you'll have to work on getting that trust back. Once you say it. And once you do it, the other thing is you do it. You know, I can go back there and I can smack you. I can ask for forgiveness, but I done it. I done it then. You know, so be slow to speak. Listen to God, because God, if you'll slow down and listen, and then you know, hear what God's saying to you, and then you be slow to speak, you know, you'll go a long ways. It's good to know God's word, but it's better to obey it. It's better to obey it. You know, and that goes back to you hearing and you're speaking. And then over at slow to wrath. You know, a lot of times I do all this right backwards from what God tells me to do. I'll get mad, and I'll run my mouth. And they done heard me then. You know, we get mad so many times and we'll say things that we can't take back. You know, there's so many times, there's so much that I would love to have taken back, and God has whooped me over it, and, you know, and He's broke me down on stuff that I've said, and you can't take back. But if something upsets you, you know, take a minute, hear God, and then speak. Sometimes it's better not to even speak, because you're gonna mess up. You're gonna mess up, and then you can't get out of it. You know, we a lot of times on the ball field, and I can talk a lot about the ball field because I'm competitive, and I love to win. Don't I, Chad? Who Chad knows? Chad knows. I love to win. I'm gonna do what it takes. I'm gonna bring the best out there. And you know, that's the way I feel about preaching. You know, you bring the best out there, and you say what God is giving you to say, and hoping that it'll draw you closer to Him. And that's what it's all about, is getting closer to God. But going back to my ball team, there's so many times that, you know, I've been through some situations here lately that, you know, and the closer you get to God, the more the devil's going to get under you. He's going to put that kookaburra under there. If he can't do one, he's going to throw two. And been through some situations, and all of this comes right back to this situation. I think God tries us sometimes to see, hey, what are you going to do now? You going to run that mouth? Or and I've been put in some situations that, you know, people got under my skin. And boy, I wanted to use that tongue real quick. And I've had some people come up to me and say, man, you took a lot. Why you take that? I said, well, I love them. He said, man, how can you love somebody whenever they're right behind you just dogging you out, talking about you? I said, Jesus. I said, it's just Jesus. It's got to be Jesus. You know, He's going to help me. He's going to lead me. He's going to guide me. But though, you know, the people, and they get under you. But I could have turned around there and said one word, and everything I've been witnessing to them about, and I've been witnessing some of them guys, I could have lost it all right there because of that tongue. But you know, I think, like I said, if we'll listen to God and do what He tells us to do, I've learned in a lot of situations. And that was a tough situation because, you know, but in the end, I give God the credit. He let me win. He let my team win. But it's all His glory. I didn't listen one time, and one of the very first games we played, I didn't listen. I always believe in praying before a game. I done that whenever Kevin played T-ball and Chuck played T-ball. And we played a game this year, and I talked to one of my players. He loves the Lord, and I said, man, I called him after the game. I said, I know why we lost. He said, I know too, man. We didn't hit the ball. I said, hitting the ball ain't got nothing to do with this, brother. He said, what, Danny? What? I said, what did we fail to do? He thought for a minute, and he said, we didn't pray, did we? I said, sure didn't. Sure didn't. And God, you know, God has whooped me over that. And He showed me immediately why, you know, you didn't put me first. You didn't listen to me. You didn't do what I told you. And I was mad after the game. And boy, it's just like Daddy popped me in my mouth. God popped me in my mouth again because I didn't listen to Him. You know, and He said, that's right, Danny. He said, we didn't pray. You know. So many times we get in such a hurry, and all of a sudden God has to say, hey, you wasn't listening, boy. You wasn't paying attention. You wasn't paying attention. And if we get to where we're not paying attention, then we're not listening, and we're not doing the will of God. Can you imagine what the people would have been like when Jesus had to go up on that cross for us? I imagine people look back and said, man, why didn't I listen to Him? Why didn't I listen to Him? He had to be put on that cross. All that blood had to come out for you, for me. And, you know, we just didn't listen. We're not doers of the word. So, try to listen more than you talk. Try to listen to what God is leading you through. And if you're going through a situation, lean on God. Lean on Him. You know, we've been through some tough situations here lately. But you know, it's good to know when God is there. Sometimes, Brother Eddie, you just have to get in that little corner and listen to him. Say, God, what'd I do? And boy, here he comes. Just showing us what to do. And boy, then it gets so easy. Like I said, you know, I've had basically this same sermon ready for 3 years. But God knew I wasn't ready. I had it ready, man. I can remember the night I sat down and started writing in that book 3 years ago. I said, man, but I didn't want to get in front of God. I felt like that when that opportunity come, God would open that door. I didn't want to get in front of him. I wanted to listen to him, you know. If I'd got in front of him, man, I'd have really messed it up. I'm probably messing it up anyway. But God has done so much to me and for me and showed me things. But he's had to chastise me some. I keep looking at them 3 young guys there. We talk about chastising a lot whenever we had our class. Then with Jess. Jess said, yeah, I know what chastisement is. He said, I got one at home with my name on it. Didn't you, Jess? Jess said, I got a board. Daddy got a board. I got my name on it. He talked about that chastisement, and God will. He will have to chastise us sometimes because we're not listening. We're not doing. Just like sometimes Mom and Daddy has to chastise us whenever we're little fellas. And it all comes back. It's because we're not listening and we're not doing. If we'll just listen and do. Then over here in verse 22, be ye doers of the word and not hearers only. Doers of the word. A lot of people say, you know, I can't do that. I can't do that. But it all comes back again to what God is telling us to do. Paying attention. And then that tongue, probably one of the worst things that gets us in trouble so many times. Slapping that tongue up in your mouth, you know. God has showed me so many times how good he is to me, and he brings people in your life, you know, that will speak to you. You know, I changed jobs here lately, and God has brought some people to work with me that we sort of, our spirits cling together. And if you don't think that don't mean a lot, you get in a job or somewhere and you don't have a spirit that clings with you, somebody that you can't talk to, and because so many times people, that tongue, you know, it'll get carried away. But whenever you can get with somebody and say, man, you know, what about this? What about that? And them spirits just cling, man, you know. And then you know you're not alone. You're not alone. And that spirit just falls all over you, and y'all can share about Jesus and start talking about Jesus. And sharing with somebody the other day, there's a lot of people, they get around and they go to talking. If you ain't careful, you get caught up in all that talk. And people, you know, like at work, they know where I stand with the Lord, but if you get caught up in that thing and you get 2 or 3 against you, sometimes it's hard to get out of it, but all you got to do, and I've told people, all you got to do is just throw up your hands and say Jesus, and that devil's got to flee, because he can't take it. You know, and I have had that to happen the last few weeks. These guys, they'll go to talking, and I'll see right quick, God, you've got to intervene. If you don't intervene, then this thing's going to get out of hand. And boy, we'll just throw up our hands and call out on Jesus, and it seems like that devil's just got to flee. He's got to run. So if you're ever put in a situation, just call out on God. He'll hear you. You know, it all goes back to that listening and doing, hearing. Just pay attention to what God is telling you. And it seems like I'm rambling on, and Karen told me don't get up here and start rambling on, but God has been so good to me that He's done stuff for me. Me and Karen's been married a long time, and He's blessed me with a good wife. But I really want y'all to pay attention to this one verse, you know, just be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger. Just watch that tongue. You know, pay attention. Pay attention. I thank for this opportunity to speak, and I hope there's something I've said that might have brought you closer to God.